The day the real heiress returned to her wealthy family, my daughter was kicked out of the house like some leftover. When that high society couple called me to pick her up, a group of elegantly dressed people stood at the mansion gate, their eyes cold and full of disdain. This kind of cuckoo behavior was truly disgusting. The girl I had raised, her true nature really was that of a thief. The child I raised for 14 years wearing a puffed princess dress furiously charged forward, pushed my biological daughter to the ground, then turned and threw herself into the arms of her birth parents, crying and accusing that my daughter had stolen the family that was supposed to be hers and that she never wanted to see her again. My daughter stumbled and fell to the ground, frozen in shock. I stepped forward and pulled her up. Let's go. The cows at home are still waiting to be fed. Each one costs tens of thousands of yuan and we've got hundreds. I'm too busy to put on a tearful show with them. 3 years ago, I had a high fever of 40 degrees. And when I woke up, a strange memory appeared in my mind. Turns out I'm the villain in a fake real heiress novel, the biological mother of the fake daughter. Everything suddenly made sense. No matter how I taught her, the girl named Ko Jia remained lazy and spoiled, never lifting a finger to help with housework. I figured a poor girl raised like a rich one, then I'd treat her like a little princess. Among my 3 children, I worried about her the most. In the end now, her birth family blames me for switching the babies and robbing her of 14 years as a wealthy heiress. But in all honesty, when she was in middle school, I gave her 50,000 yuan every month for pocket money, not to mention food, clothing, housing, and living expenses. And that's considered mistreatment. Looking at the daughter I raised for 14 years sobbing like her heart was being ripped out, I had to suppress the fury boiling inside me. If the factory weren't short on workers, I'd have stayed and argued this out to the end. Miss Vuong, we treated raising your daughter all these years like an act of charity. Since our daughter doesn't want to see you again then, I cut her off, and my voice cold and sharp. That ungrateful brat better stay far away from me. If I see her again, I'll hit her again. With those words ignoring their stunned silence, I bent down to help my real daughter up. Let's go, the cows are waiting to be fed. Behind us, a few people chuckled. My daughter's face flushed, then turned pale. I do manual labor all year round, so I'm not weak. I practically dragged her out of that little mansion. After turning a few corners, the dense trees gradually blocked the view of the villas behind. My daughter's steps grew slower and slower. I could feel her weight increasing, understandable. She's a child after all, just went through a big shock. She needs time to adjust. I let go of her hand and took out my phone to call, "Hello, Tu Li, come pick us up at the location I sent you." She glanced up timidly. When she saw the car approaching in the distance, her body swayed slightly. The old van was covered in dust and feed crumbs, with empty water bottles scattered all over inside. I frowned slightly, but before I could say anything, she quietly climbed in, sat on the back bench, and wiped her tears. Tu Li thought the little miss was disgusted by how dirty his car was, blushed with embarrassment, quickly pulled over next to a public trash bin, and started cleaning frantically. Half an hour later, the car finally rolled out of the city. The towering concrete buildings gradually gave way to trees and farmland. Outside the window, my daughter's gaze grew even more hopeless. She was probably thinking her life had just plummeted from the top all the way to the bottom. 2 hours later, the green mountains by the roadside signaled we were nearly home. Tu Li dropped us off at the house closest to the factory, a simple 2-story building. Back when we built it, we didn't care about appearances, just practicality. About 10 kilometers away was a resort area. I had built a private estate there 10 times the size of the villa that white-eyed wolf of a girl lived in. I'd also bought a few properties in the downtowns of major cities. When I retire, I can live wherever I want. Each child gets one. Coincidentally, lately, 3 workers at the factory had urgent family matters, and no one could fill in. So I had to roll up my sleeves and work myself for a few days. Back home, after making a strong cup of tea to regain some energy, I immediately changed into my work clothes, put on an apron, slipped into rubber boots. My daughter stood at the door, her eyes blank as she watched me. I casually asked, "Want to come work with Mum?" She hesitated for a moment, then nodded slightly. I went to the storage room to pick out new clothes for her, then took her to the factory on a three-wheeled motorbike. The road was deserted. Anyone still capable of working around here was already working for my family. We started working the moment we arrived. I mixed the animal feed while taking the chance to guide her. Unexpectedly, she listened. Occasionally, she even replied softly, "Yes." I glanced over. There were still visible tear stains on her face, which made my heart ache for a moment. In that strange memory, she was always outstanding. Before her identity was exposed, she studied hard just so she wouldn't disappoint her wealthy parents. A capable child like that, no parent could resist loving her. Me neither. "Why don't you take a break and go rest?" I suggested, voice dropping low. She shook her head, said nothing, worked through the entire afternoon until evening. While holding a bowl of rice, she suddenly looked up and asked quietly, "Mum, can I still go to school?" I was stunned, hurriedly swallowed the rice in my mouth. "Why wouldn't you? Of course you have to go to school." Maybe I answered too quickly, too firmly. She probably thought I was brushing her off. For the next 3 days, I threw myself into work. By the time our workers gradually returned, my daughter had picked up things remarkably fast. She nearly had everything in the workshop under control. But after all, she was still a child at an age where she should be carefree, laughing and playing. Coincidentally, my second son rushed back upon hearing what had happened. That kid even quit his job overseas and flew home in a hurry. I told my daughter in advance, "Tomorrow we're going to the city with your second brother. Remember to wake up at 9. She paused, then finally asked Mum, "How many children do you have?" I smiled, "Including you 3. Your eldest brother is co-trans son, married abroad, barely ever comes home. Second brother co-mo son, that one's a good-for-nothing, always flying in and out of the country, God knows what for. Oh, and your surname needs changing. I'll invite a master to choose a new name for you." There was a hint of confusion in her eyes, but this time it wasn't the despair from before. After asking her opinion, we decided to change both her surname and given name a fresh start, cutting off the past entirely. Ko Tanghui, that's the name she chose. On the way to meet my second son, we took the opportunity to complete the paperwork. The three-wheeler couldn't go into the city, so I switched to a car and brought her to the villa near the resort. White picket fence, lush green lawn, arched doors and castle-like pointed roofs. Inside were European-style wardrobes, a built-in wine cabinet, marble stairs and luxury carpets. Everything radiated opulence in classic European style. Back then, my eldest son was going to marry the only daughter of an elite noble family, so the wedding house had to be impeccable. Their father and I lost sleep for nights, finally biting the bullet and asking our eldest to bring in a foreign architect. We borrowed money to build it. In the end, he went abroad to manage his wife's company and never looked back. I was so mad, I nearly disowned him. My daughter stood dazed in front of the door, her gaze tinged with caution. I stepped onto the red-carpeted stairs, turned around and waved at her. "I'm going up to get the keys, come see your room too. I prepared one just for you." The girl I raised for 14 years had never set foot in this house. Every time I described the villa to motivate her, she always thought I was lying to trick her into working. At the bedside, my biological daughter looked at me with her dark eyes, pressed her lips together, then whispered, "I've been here before." I was briefly surprised. A classmate invited me to a birthday party. They said just renting this place cost 50 million. "Mum, don't overdo it, we can't afford this." As she spoke, she pointed at the fireplace nearby. "Do you know how expensive that is?" Around 17 million, I think. I don't remember exactly." Her eyes widened in shock. I chuckled. "I handpicked every item myself. How could I not know?" "But let me tell you a secret. The carpet under your feet is a knockoff. We ran out of money back then, had to custom order a fake branded one. But it's handcrafted, so not cheap either." She stood there, mouth agape, face full of amazement. I took her hand walking while explaining originally this was meant to be your eldest brother's wedding suite. Who would have thought he wouldn't return? Leaving it empty is such a waste, so I negotiated with the resort to rent out the lower floors. The second and third floors are the private living area no one is allowed to touch. I've already earned back the money for building the house. We stopped in front of a door. I unlocked it with my fingerprint turned and gestured, "Go ahead, try opening it." She stared at me, eyes seemingly searching for any hint of deception. Just as she was about to enter, a noisy sound rang out from below. "Hey, we reserved this place in advance. Why is someone already here? Must be the cleaning lady. Wait, isn't that Trong Tutu?" Hearing her old name, she froze on the spot. I leaned an arm against the railing and looked down. The group of kids was still standing below. "Oh, so you guys decorated this happy birthday?" A bright-looking boy gave a slight smile, "Thank you." But his eyes only skimmed past me before landing on her with an unreadable hint of concern. I vaguely recalled this was one of the key male supporting characters caught in the love triangle with the real and fake heiress. In the end, all three were hurt. My daughter quietly stepped into the room. I followed and gently closed the door behind us. Inside was an oversized royal-style bed big enough for 5 people side by side. The bedside lamp and wooden cabinet carried a classic European vibe. An ornamental relief hung on the wall. Under the window, sheer curtains framed a vintage piano. I opened the cream-colored wardrobe. "Want to change clothes? These are all new." She lowered her head shoulders, trembling slightly, her voice trembling. "No need," she added softly. "Those people downstairs are my classmates. They probably know everything now." I thought for a moment, then smiled. "Mum's going to change real quick. Want to go down and say hello?" The girl hesitated for a second, then finally left the room. As I was getting changed, a burst of mocking voices suddenly rang out from below. "Trong, Tutu, stop putting on airs. You dare say your mum owns this place. Why don't you just say your mum's a billionaire? At least lie with some logic. Trong Diem already spilled everything about your family. Aren't you working at a cattle farm now? Oh, no wonder I kept smelling manure just now." The group erupted into laughter, stepping back from her as if she was some alien object. Her face turned beet red with shame, her voice shaking. "No, I wasn't lying." I leaned against the railing and asked, lying about what a girl with a long face, the one standing beside the boy earlier, stepped forward and spoke. "Auntie, you should teach Trong Tutu some manners. She's so full of herself. Do you know what she said? She said, 'You own this house.' Isn't that hilarious?" I looked down at my daughter. She was on the verge of tears. I feigned light scolding Ko Tan Hui. "How could you?" Then I turned to the group of her friends and offered a gentle smile. "She's only been home a few days. I haven't had time to explain everything yet. Actually, not just this house, that whole estate over in the resort district is ours too. If your group had let me know ahead of time, I could have comped the whole party for you." The kids below instantly fell silent like someone hit the mute button. The boy from earlier opened his mouth to speak, but just then a resort staff member arrived carrying a cake. "Here's your 4-tier cake, everyone." As soon as he looked up and saw me, he froze mid-step. "Mrs. Vuong, you're here. Perfect timing. Last time a guest broke one of our antique vases, and they insisted on speaking to you before paying." I glanced at my daughter, signaling I've got something to handle. "You stay here and entertain your friends. I'll be back in a bit." When I came back later, I saw my daughter surrounded by her classmates, laughing and chatting as if that earlier mockery never happened. I could only shake my head. Kids these days haven't even entered society, and they're already more cunning than adults. I checked my watch. "Sorry, everyone. Her older brother just flew back from abroad to visit his sister, so I don't have time to chat long. I've unlocked access to the rooftop for you. Have fun. Let's catch up another time." The students chirped excitedly. The rooftop cost 3 times more than the first floor. The mum of Trong No I Ko Tang Hui paid for everything. No way she's just some cleaning lady, right? Once I grabbed the keys, I drove my Jeep straight out toward the suburbs, speeding like the wind. Almost an hour and a half later, I pulled into an underground garage. My second son was already waiting at the entrance. As soon as he saw me, he happily ran over to open the door. My daughter got out, eyes never leaving her older brother. The second son takes after the paternal side double eyelids, eyes so big they could startle someone. Only when he grins wide do they squint a little. He didn't care that his little sister was staring. Mom, Dad called me last night, said he hurt his hand, but made me swear not to tell you. I glanced over, understood right away. Then take your sister out for a bit. I'll go check what your dad's injured this time. The second son made an okay hand gesture, then led his sister toward the elevator. I remembered he had bought 2 adjoining apartments and knocked out the wall between total area around 300 square meters. Plenty of space to live comfortably, so I felt fine zipping over to my ex-husband's place. As soon as I stepped inside, I saw him wearing traditional robes, holding prayer beads, speaking passionately into a cluster of phones. The white light shone on his face, erasing all wrinkles and age spots. Plus the beauty filters on the phones. Emergency family matter. Wrapping up early today. See you next time, my darlings. He waved to the cameras, then rushed over with a flattering grin. Oh my darling, you finally came. Sit down, sit down. I clicked my tongue, sat down to talk with him for a bit. The next afternoon, a call from my eldest son woke me up. Mum, I saw the photo of my sister. She looks most like me in the whole family. It's summer here, but the weather's only 25 degrees. Why don't you and she come visit? He sent the location and a few pictures, tempting, I must admit. The kid's father, eavesdropping nearby, immediately started whining. My biological daughter just came back. Of course I need to spend time bonding with her. There's scientific research showing that girls without a father's love tend to develop emotional dependencies and skewed attachments. I rolled my eyes. Where'd you read that nonsense theory again? Still, I called my daughter to check. She timidly asked back, "Is Dad fierce, Mum?" Right, then the kid's father snatched the phone, his voice so syrupy it made me nauseous. "Why, honey, it's Dad. Did you have fun with your big brother? Daddy missed you so much. Your eldest brother invited you to visit too. Take Daddy along. Okay, what should have been a 2-minute call turned into him yapping for over 30 minutes. I could already picture my daughter's face on the other end of the line. A text from the second son popped up right after Dad talks way too much. I called him, "What are you kids up to? How's your sister doing? She's fine. Mum, super happy." I took her to an amusement park yesterday. She pretended to be reluctant. This morning I had an open class. She helped pour tea and wipe the board. Then someone complimented her English and she was thrilled all morning. I gritted my teeth. She's only been at your place one day and you've already turned your little sister into your assistant. Are you even using your brain? He shouted. It's true. There was a surprise meeting and I don't know who leaked that. I came back to the country. Investors and die-hard fans all showed up wanting to meet me in person. Your daughter spoke fluently with the foreign guests. They were super impressed. I was speechless. But honestly, the second son's just like his dad, talks non-stop. Don't hang up yet, Mum. I'm not done. What's the plan with Big Brother? Are we really going to visit him? If so, I can take everyone. Make sure you don't get lost. I stayed quiet for a few seconds, then sighed. But if I go, what about the chickens, pigs, cows and goats back home? He shot back instantly. Just hire help. So many unemployed people nowadays. Only your generation insists on suffering and never asks for assistance. Before I could scold him, he hung up on me. Turning around, I saw the kid's dad, his eyes darting between me and the second son, narrowing slyly into a grin. He. Baby, why not let our second son take us? We can use the chance to bond with the kids too. A trip abroad sounds easy, but if things aren't handled properly, you won't have peace of mind while traveling. The eldest and second son forget hoping they'll manage our properties. Can we just let everything blow away with the wind? There needs to be a successor. I brought my daughter back from the second son's place, then took her to the provincial job fair. Both online CV submissions and on-site interviews were open to domestic and international applicants. I was hoping to find a few competent managers. The moment we arrived, I nearly fainted from the promotional poster the organizers had put up. All the other booths had minimalist corporate-grey designs, and ours two live pigs smiling straight at the camera. I clutched my forehead, determined to make them replace it immediately. My daughter suddenly said, "Why don't I stay here in case anyone has questions?" I nodded and rushed off. When I came back, she was surrounded. I panicked, pushed through the crowd and overheard someone ask, "Hey girl, your farm's way up in the mountains, right? It's super remote and the pay's not great either. How can you compete?" My daughter replied fluently, "Ma'am, other places might post 6 to 12K salaries, but usually they only pay 6. Our farm isn't like that. My mum values capable people as long as she doesn't have to worry about you paying over 12K isn't a problem. We rotate shifts and unused leave days roll over to the next month." One by one, people stepped up to the table taking brochures and reading them carefully. I immediately received several interview requests. Some applicants looked promising, but my daughter and I agreed to wait a few more days to see more candidates. That night back at the hotel, the ungrateful girl suddenly messaged, "I hate you. Turns out you never considered me family. I only learned about the villa and the estate from others." I didn't reply. She switched tactics and started spreading rumors claiming I worked in animal farming, targeting the filthiness of the industry. Said the adoptive parents' farm was full of flies, germs, and disease. That people always smelled like manure even after showering 10 times. That the new girl, knowing nothing was already out, recruiting absolutely shameless. Leaving early and coming home late like an orphan. My daughter's smile gradually faded. She clutched her phone fingers, tapping furiously. I knew what she was doing and didn't interfere. She's the future heir, better to face the real world early. These past few days, everyone in the house had been walking on eggshells around her. The kid's dad had packed his luggage, but kept hesitating, not daring to bring up the trip. The second son was tracking public opinion like he was watching the stock market, 4 split screens going at once. I was busy escorting the new hires back to the workshop to get them familiar with the place. The tricks of that ungrateful girl only scared off a few hesitant ones. Those with real talent still came. I wasn't offering low pay. Anyone with half a brain would know where to choose. By the end of July, the 4 of us packed up and went abroad for summer vacation. The eldest son had taken time off in advance and arrived at the airport on the dot. That limousine he sent rarely seen back home. The second son was in awe, and the moment someone stepped out from the back seat, he immediately stood up straight and saluted big sis-in-law. The eldest daughter-in-law stood 1.8 meters tall, and with heels she hit 1.9. She pulled me and my daughter into a tight hug, her Mandarin fluent and sweet mum, little sister. "I'm so happy you're here. Can we take a family photo?" I smiled and nodded. My daughter-in-law had tens of thousands of followers online. She shared lifestyle vlogs. I remembered the ungrateful girl followed her account. Sure enough, not long after a message came in. "You don't love me anymore, Mum. You're going on vacation with sister-in-law and didn't invite me. Our 14 years of affection really so easy to forget I couldn't hold it in anymore." Wasn't it her who once said with her own mouth that Thanhui had stolen her family, that she never wanted to see us again? She fired back a long paragraph. That was just a tantrum. Didn't you understand? She's a thief, a stealer. She took the life that should have been mine. I made the parents who raised me abandon me. I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm, then called. After barely half a minute of ringing, she picked up. Her voice soft as dough. "Mum, do you really not want me anymore? I'd raised her for over 10 years. It's not like I could just cut her off," I snapped. "If you didn't call, that's fine. But now you're blaming me. Honestly, you're a living ancestor, and your biological parents, such thick skin, always pretending to be noble, never once cared how you were living," she sobbed. "Not good at all, Mum. They say I'm nothing compared to Trong Tu Tu. They're even planning to bring her back." I declared firmly. Don't worry, Ko Tanhui is my daughter. She will never go back to the Trong family as a stepchild. If you want to come visit, come. There's always a bowl of rice for you here. But if you pull any more stunts, don't call me Mum again. She laughed through her tears, exactly the reaction of someone who'd been waiting for me to say that. Then I'll book my ticket. Okay, make sure to pick me up, Mum. I was momentarily stunned. In my memory, her biological parents had repeatedly emphasized that they'd never let their real daughter contact me, and now she sent me the payment link for the plane ticket. I understood the ungrateful girl was clearly pulling the first explain later move. If she was miserable, no one else could be happy. That love for chaos of hers hadn't changed one bit. 3 days later, I drove with my daughter to the airport to pick her up. Just before seeing the ungrateful girl again, I took the chance to gently remind Ko Tanhui, sweetheart, you'll always be a part of this family. No one can replace you. Jia Jia lived with us for 14 years. Of course I have feelings for her. But that doesn't change the truth. You're my biological daughter. Your parents will always love you. It was the first time I'd ever said such cheesy words. I felt a little embarrassed. Yes, Mum. She softly turned her face away, her black hair falling to reveal flushed cheeks. When we picked up the ungrateful girl, the air instantly turned tense. Sitting between them, I took the initiative to break the silence. Now that both of you have new names, why not introduce yourselves properly? The ungrateful girl piped up quickly. Hi there, I'm Trong Kim Jia. Trong from my dad, Kim from my mum. I still kept Jia from my old name. My daughter nodded, extending her hand. Ko Tanhui. I really like this name. After the formal handshake, I took them both to the car. Trong Kim Jia stared out of the window while sneakily trying to make conversation with me. I could see right through the little calculations in her eyes. Every question for me was followed by a pointed one toward my daughter. When we arrived at the resort villa that the eldest son had arranged, the chefs were busy preparing an elegant dinner. The moment I walked in with both girls, everyone fell silent for a beat. You're both the same age, so you should decide how you want to address each other, I said. The second son instantly exploded, nearly arguing with his dad. Whatever you called her before, just keep calling her that. Tanhui's the youngest, calling her little sister is correct. Just using her name feels too distant. If she's the younger one, then she should be called the younger sister. She calls me by name too, the eldest chimed in. Why not just get the birth records from the hospital and settle it properly? Trong Kim Jia cut in with a sweet smile. Little sister sounds lovely. I'd still like everyone to call me the youngest. I patted my daughter on the shoulder and glanced at my eldest daughter-in-law. The three of us shook our heads in unison. The climate at the summer villa was truly pleasant. These leisurely days almost bored me to death. I had so much free time, I ended up dragging the whole family out for fun, catching butterflies, picking mushrooms, hiking, camping, doing all the things you'd think only existed in fairy tales. That evening, I got a call from a staff member at the workshop, and oddly I felt a deep sense of relief. Ms. Vuong, the feed product we've been using recently, is being discontinued. There are 3 manufacturers wanting to partner with us. I'll send over the info for you to review. I figured I'd look it over in just a few minutes, so I leaned against the wall and opened the files. I was halfway through when a voice from the next room started to whisper, I don't want to study those dumb subjects anymore. The teachers keep comparing me to everyone else. It's exhausting. Forcing girls to live like delicate housewives under the guise of elite international education. How is that different from selling your daughter? The voice grew louder. So this is how Ko Tanhui lives. I thought she had some luxurious life, turns out. I was blind. What, just saying that counts as insulting her now? I never got a proper education. If I don't vent, I might as well choke. Heaven's been kind to me. Let me live in the Ko family for 14 years without absorbing any of that fake nobility crap from the Trongs. I was still holding the phone, eyes fixed on the text in the document, but unable to read a single word. I just listened, didn't miss a thing. After a while, muffled sobs came through, quiet, restrained crying. I lifted my foot, ready to go over, but a hand caught my wrist. Mum, I understand the Trong family. Let me go talk to my little sister. I don't know what the two of them said in that room that night, but after that, their relationship blossomed at lightning speed. Not real sisters, but closer than blood. They were always in each other's rooms whispering about something, and even at night they squeezed into the same bed to sleep. By the end of August, I couldn't take it anymore, insisted on returning to Vietnam. The workshop was overloaded with work, and the kids were about to start school. Once the second son got back from his business trip, I told him to drive the whole family home. After a day of rest, everyone got busy with their own things. Trong Kim Jia still refused to leave, clinging to our family. I told my biological parents already. If they won't admit they were wrong, they can forget about me going back. Mum, how about you raise me instead? Then she turned to my daughter, Than Huai. You eat so little you don't mind, right? My daughter gave a faint smile. Up to you. It's not like you're the one footing the bill, anyway. Then came the new school year. The two girls were enrolled in different schools, one at a prestigious private school with tuition nearing 200 million dong a year. The other at a public school ranked third in the city with tuition under 10 million. They had different routes, sharing rides wasn't convenient. For the second time, my daughter spoke up first. Mum, I can go to a public school. Transferring at middle school isn't that big of a deal. On opening day, the two girls walked hand in hand into the school gates. Even though they weren't in the same class, they came home together every day. I hadn't been home for long before the workshop called me back. The kids' father dropped by from time to time, taking the girls out for proper meals. I'd been wondering how the Trong family would react, and sure enough, they finally showed their true colours. How could you let her go to a school like this? No wonder her academics are slipping. The environment is dragging her down. Mrs. Trong furrowed her brows, elegant but icy. Mr. Trong spoke more mildly. It's not that public schools are bad, but if you've got the means, you should let your child access a better environment. For example, my friend, his family wasn't wealthy in 2008. His mum invested in immigration. After finishing high school and university abroad, he now earns over $40,000 a month. I'd never thought about those things before. Suddenly, I felt like I'd failed as a parent. Mrs. Trong curved her lips slightly. My daughter must go to a top-tier school. It'll make global integration easier in the future. As for Chu, if she wants to keep studying, that's your problem to solve. My daughter came running from the lecture hall, eyeing her adoptive parents warily. The Trongs asked her, "Where's Kim Jia? What's the point of studying in a place like this? It's full of delinquents." Then Mrs. Trong tried to barge inside, only to be stopped by the security guard. No access pass, no entry. I had to cover my mouth so I wouldn't laugh out loud. At public schools, the guards may be old, but they don't care whether you're rich or poor. No proper documents. Then wait, it was still sweltering in early September. Standing at the school gate was pointless, so everyone retreated to their cars, turning on the AC. As soon as school ended, Trong Kim Jia walked out and was immediately grabbed by Mrs. Trong. "Go home now! How dare you run away? I didn't raise you like this. I'll talk if we're going to talk properly. If I'm wrong, point it out. But don't think you can just yell and hit every time. That woman is the one who doesn't know how to raise a child, Mrs." Trong glared. "I'll discipline my own daughter, not your business, is it?" Kim Jia yanked her arm free and hid behind me. "I don't want to live in the golden cage you and Dad built, being molded into some luxury product just to be married off easily." Mrs. Trong was furious and lunged to grab her. My daughter immediately stepped in front of me to block her. "Trong Tu, who do you think you are? I raised you for over 10 years, and in less than 2 months, you've already turned rotten. I'm truly disappointed in you." The girl lifted her chin, brows furrowed, eyes blazing. "You've said that to me more times than I can count. I used to doubt myself because of it. But now I'm done living in that shadow. Thank you both for giving me a life of comfort and proper education for over a decade. But don't think you can force your beliefs onto others. I'm tired of trying to preserve your reputation, tired of having to surpass a bunch of gifted kids just to prove my worth, Mrs. Trong let out a cold laugh. If it weren't for this family, would you have passed piano level 10, ballet level 8, or played golf like an athlete? You bite the hand that fed you and still have the nerve to act tough, then pay it all back. My daughter's face went pale. She was still young, not yet used to handling this kind of confrontation. I pulled Kim Jia back. Money's hard to calculate precisely. How about this? Mrs. Trong didn't notice her daughter's eyes darting around nervously. Let Kim Jia choose whatever field she wants to study, and I'll cover the cost. She was a businesswoman, of course she thought long term. After weighing the pros and cons, she nodded. Deal. That settled the education matter, but the school issue wasn't as easy to resolve. In the end, Kim Jia was lured back into the private school, partly out of curiosity, partly because she still enjoyed the glitz and glam. The two girls began walking separate paths. My daughter firmly gave up the glamorous arts classes and shifted toward agricultural studies, preparing to take over the family business. Meanwhile, Trong Kim Jia was like a fish back in water. She chose to study vocal music and modern dance, aiming to become a star. I didn't quite understand it, but the Trong family fully supported her. Well, fair enough, passion is the best teacher. In just a few short years, my daughter had clearly mapped out her academic path and was steadily working toward her goals. She told me agriculture will eventually hit a saturation point. Animal science might become less useful, so I want to broaden my direction, find more competitive outlets for our agricultural products. I kept nodding, unable to hide how proud I felt. As for Trong Kim Jia, she was no slouch either. She earned the highest certifications in both vocal performance and dance. When she held those certificates in her hands, the first person she called wasn't her biological mother, it was me. Mum, I'm good, right? I must have saved you a ton of money. I beamed with pride, showering her with praise. I never expected this little one to have such natural talent. Seizing the moment, I asked gently, "So, do you have any plans yet?" She replied with a touch of hesitation, but her eyes sparkled. Nothing concrete, but at least now I have a goal. By June, 1 year later, neither of the girls had fallen into the same traps as in my past memories. My daughter didn't miss the critical university entrance exam because of family issues. She calmly completed it at her regular public school. And Trong Kim Jia, her entire family had moved abroad, so there were no more wild fights with delinquent friends, no more memories of bloodied heads and chaos. After the college acceptance results came in, Kim Jia flew back from overseas just to attend my daughter's teacher appreciation party. The two of them stood side by side, each holding a tiny wine glass that looked like a toy, clinking them with cheerful laughter. I'm prepping for finals, so I can't stay long. No worries. Just don't forget to come back now and then. We're always waiting for you. I got pulled away by a group of parents, all asking for tips on raising kids, so I didn't know how many glasses they ended up drinking. When I finally got home, I collapsed in bed and slept like the dead didn't wake up until late the next afternoon. Kim Jia stayed 2 more days, then hurriedly left. Before getting in the car, she flashed me a bright smile and said, "Wait for me to bring back the admission letter from the Academy of Music so we can celebrate Tet together, Mum." The sky was a clear, endless blue. The moon only looked limited because the human eye is so narrow in scope. The airplane slowly sliced through the wind, gliding across the sky before disappearing into the horizon. 2 months later, their father and I took our daughter to the capital for university. That evening, I bent down to double-check her suitcase one last time, carefully arranging every little item as if reluctant to part with them. A gentle breeze passed, yet the bridge of my nose suddenly stung. Standing before the prestigious university, my gaze settled on the deep crimson gate basking in the midday sun. That brilliant red, bold and bright, was just like a youthful dream. My heart tightened. The little girl I used to hold close, the one I taught how to feed the cows now, stood at the threshold of a bigger, brighter world. That red. Perhaps it was the colour of a new journey, one she would chart herself with all her strength and light. Side story, Trong Kim Ja. I really never expected that I wasn't my mum's biological daughter. Trong Kim Jia turned out to be the child of a wealthy high society family, the kind straight out of those novels I used to read. The fake heiress is always the villain to the real heiress. She lives in someone else's house, with luxuries, clings to her adoptive parents, and plays the nauseating green tea girl act. So I thought I have to act first, crush her hopes of staying. But my mum, she was even sharper than I imagined. Without a second thought, she took the real daughter and left. At the time, I thought she did it because she loved me, but everything that happened afterward shocked me to my core. The co-family, that discreetly wealthy clan, was actually my mum's real family. Meanwhile, the Trong family, my biological parents, weren't even as well off as my adoptive ones. I was stunned. Thinking back to the first days I returned to the Trong house, my birth parents constantly put psychological pressure on me. They belittled my past, questioned my future. If I hadn't pushed back hard, they seriously would have taken me for an IQ test. I'm telling you, I'm totally fine. They're the ones with the problem. And what the hell was that about an outstanding fiancé? That guy couldn't hold a candle to the male leads in any romance novel, so my dream of being a pampered heiress officially shattered. From 600 a.m. to 10:00 p.m. my schedule was packed. I even had to study dining etiquette during meals. Any minor mistake, and I'd be compared to Trong Tutu again. I was going crazy, even started thinking my old life was better. That's when I came up with a plan, cause a huge fight with my birth mum, sneakily book a flight, and go back to my adoptive mum's place. Officially run away from home. And the following months proved that was the best decision of my entire life. It was also the choice that changed my destiny. In the end, I brought the daughter back to where she truly belonged, not some glamorous mansion full of pretenders, but a real, meaningful life with a mother willing to give up everything for her child. I don't need the world's approval, and I sure don't need anyone's pity. All I need is to see her eyes get brighter each day. Her small shoulders, once fragile and leaning on me, have grown stronger, strong enough to carry her own fate. Some wounds never fully heal, but they can be turned into power. Some children have their childhood stolen, but when they're loved the right way, they shine even brighter than those who grew up in silk and gold. As for me, the moment I chose to pull my daughter away from that old house I buried forever, the softness of a mother who once compromised. I will be her shield, the one who teaches her how to rise, and the woman who will never let fate trample us again.